My presentation is What are the benefits and drawbacks of Teach for America? So Teach for America was founded in 1990 by Wendy Cope. She sent nearly 500 core members into 5 different states to fill teacher shortages and tackle what she calls this achievement gap between students of low socioeconomic and high socioeconomic status. And Teach for America grew and grew, and today it's a 62,000 person network. There's some controversy and debates about it. Some people pride Teach for America for being successful and turning around schools for a low cost and bringing in teachers with new perspectives and energy. Other people say that it isn't as effective as it claims to be, and it's really just a resume builder for these college grads, and it doesn't encourage like retention in the teachers. So the benefits and drawbacks, it's this non-traditional plan versus or non-traditional path versus how prepared they're really going to be. Teach for America pioneered the alternative certification path, and other programs have continued to follow in their wake. You can apply to TFA as a career change or with your four-year degree in any discipline. 80% of Teach for America core members don't plan to teach or go into education before applying. So, but then that means they don't have these years and years of pedagogy under their belts. And so you have 5 weeks of training, 10 hours a week of classroom training, and sometimes they've been under fire for sometimes they don't meet 10 hour per week. And your training is very generalized. It doesn't specifically prepare you for what classroom you'll be in when you're placed. So who is this good enough for? It's good enough for students of low socioeconomic status that Teach for America targets, but you don't see Teach for America in upper middle class areas. It's new perspectives for less money. Teach for America prides themselves on their diversity. They say they have 51% of core members who are Black, Indigenous people of color, and over 200 DACA recipients in the core or continuing as veterans. And it makes education a viable career for students from elite universities. Harvard in recent years has known nearly 1 in 5 students apply for Teach for America. But then also, what is it saying about the traditional teaching path? Are they to blame for this achievement gap that Teach for America wants to combat? Veteran teachers are, a lot of times you see them getting replaced by TFA teachers because they're cheaper. But that tries to compare this 5-week intensive to a 4-year degree with maybe even a master's or a PhD on top, which isn't really a fair comparison. Teach for America tries to be like the Peace Corps. You go in for 2 years, you make your difference. You might say, you might not. But then is it just teaching to follow the trends? What are these long-term implications of only a 2-year commitment and just a rapid turnaround? And also, is it really just this resume booster? And we talk about this idea of poverty porn. And it's just doing it so the teacher feels good, not the students aren't benefiting. So speaking of this poverty porn, we learned about this in Jamie Out's 10 Ways Well-Meaning White Teachers Bring Racism into Our Schools. And Teach for America, a lot of times it's bringing white teachers into majority racial minority areas. And what are these implications? We also learned about Michelle Rhee, and she's a Teach for America alumni, famous for making education a brand and a business. And that's what Teach for America is. It's a brand, it's a business. Connecting it to what we've learned about the purpose of schooling for social mobility. Teach for America wants to erase and teach to fill in this achievement gap. And then what you're left with is theoretically meritocracy, which we talk about in social mobility. Also, schooling for social reproduction, Teach for America has been under fire for only teaching the bare minimum. It sets these students up to still be sorted into their categories, not to achieve as much as they want. So my final thoughts on Teach for America is, I think it is a great idea, but the idea was conceived in the 90s. It's been 30 years. I think there are new issues in schooling that need to be addressed. It's not just teacher shortages. We know more about this achievement gap. So I think for Teach for America to be really successful, they need to modify and maybe hold teachers to a longer commitment, more than 2 years, because that's a rapid turnaround. And I think that it isn't enough time to learn enough and make enough of a difference. So these are my sources, and thank you so much for watching my presentation.